A couple quick things. So we've got, I think, a total of 20 guys, which register, which is super cool. I think 10 of the guys that were in it before, I suckered you into doing it again. So I think we got 9 or 10 repeats, and then 10 of you guys that are new. So we're going to do quick introductions here in a second. For those of you who don't have your video on, you're going to need to turn your video on. So unless you're in the toilet or something, actually, even if you're in the toilet, you can turn your video on. But so what we'll do is we'll do a 30-second, basically, why are you here? Like, why are you doing this? And that's just a way for all of us, just to get, some of you already know each other, but a lot of you don't know anybody other than me, or maybe just a few guys. So let's start, because it is 12:30. So let's start, and just let's not have a lot of silence. I don't know how to do it, but just anybody start, and don't wait for silence before the next person goes. So give me 30 seconds. Anybody start. Actually, why don't we have Shane? You just popped in there. Shane, why don't you start and just tell us, why are you here?
I am here first and foremost to learn how to become a better husband, human being, be a better steward in my work, and just connect with individuals who are like-minded that I feel like I'm missing in my day-to-day lives as it is right now. So,
love it. I'm Joel. I'll go next. My name's Joel Kendall. Most of you know me. I'm looking for ways to get more connected to the community and to continue to grow. I'm obsessed with growth, and this seems to be the way that the Lord is leading me to both of those things.
Yeah, for me, I really desire just a group of men who are going after life and going after God wholeheartedly. And I just also want to grow in my ability to have just discipline, and I know accountability is very big in that, and so I think this group will be amazing for that piece of my life and growth.
Love it.
I'm Ryan. I joined because I honestly just want to continue to grow my faith. But I also have been really busy lately, and I felt like I needed to set aside time throughout my work day as well to sacrifice, certain things to continue to grow and just continue to become a better man and grow our community.
Yes, love it. Don't be shy, guys. Jump in.
I'll go. Hopefully everyone's safe. Yes, I'm Garrett. I was in the previous group, but I just want to just continue to grow as a man, be more discipled, have more wisdom, grow in all the virtues. I just recently had a son, got married 2 years ago, so I'm trying to become the best husband, the best father I can be, and to be the most present pretty much throughout the entire marriage and everything. So just growing more in wisdom, you're just gaining for everybody.
I love it. Garrett. Oh, no, sorry. Aiden, you just popped on.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm pretty much here. Just wanted to get as much wisdom as possible. Grown to being a great future father. I'm not expecting or anything like that, but I just want to have all the virtues of a great father and be surrounded by good community as well. So,
Dude, listen to that. Not even married, no kids, and still thinking about being a good father. That's sweet. How about Nathan?
Yeah, I joined just because I was with the last group, and I just got so much out of it. So many different virtues, and really just completely changing the goals that I have in life, and I'm excited to gain more wisdom like that, to be around other like-minded people. And I love Joshua, I love Johnny, I love all the Bible study gang, and I love being around these guys. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Love it. Zach, how about you?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll get to I'm on the road, get to a stopping point here soon, but sounds like introductions.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Zach, 41, married, 7 kids, top with huge Rushlook Navy. Is that right?
I got my eighth on the way, so I got your B, buddy, but keep going.
Wow. Dude, man, that game's over for me now. Yeah, man. Owning and operating a business, it's the whole nine. It's a lot. It's like a balancing act. And so history with priorities slip for me. All of the things that are balancing slip. So it's great to join. Why I reached out to Joshua, that's about a week ago, to get lunch or something and catch up. And this was the result. Here I am. No idea what to expect. We're all excited.
Good to have you here, man. Alex, how about you?
Sorry, I came a little late here. I was sitting on the live stream on the app.
Oh, geez. Well, that's Johnny's fault. He didn't tell you.
I know, you didn't text me soon enough.
That's right.
What's the prompt I have to answer here?
Just while you're here, it's just real simple. 30-second, quick. Why are you here? Why are you taking an hour of your Wednesday to be here?
Just looking on different ways to kind of better myself and just open myself to new things. I'm always looking to grow as a person, whether it's in the work community or religion or whatever that is. I always kind of want to do the best I can in life and just see what's out there for me.
I love it. Jonathan, how about you? Why are you here?
I'm here because I'm your son. Now I'm here because I want to stop putting effort into what I actually am going after. And that's peace, joy, wholeness, security, all those things. And so I'm just realizing that if I'm not invested in actually going after those things, then I'm not going to get the outcome that I want, going after the business, going after the friendships, going after all that. So I'm just trying to go after wholeness, go after being the man that I want to be, and start putting time and investing into that. So, yeah.
Love it. Trey? You're on mute. Don't crash. Let's go, while we're waiting on Trey, let's go with Mark.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I think I'm here just because everything, I've honestly learned a lot from you, Joshua, and everything you put out there is just the money. So I just trust you that if I've given you an hour, is going to pay off an hour in my week. So, and also kind of like Johnny said, just start to put some effort behind what I actually want out of life and not just expecting it to come just by I say I want these things, but I'm not actually putting the work and on a weekly basis to get those things. So this is just one of those things that I start doing that will hopefully produce those results. So I'm excited.
I love it. How about you, Josh? I suckered you in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. Happy to be here. I am a transplant from Chicago 5 years ago. Pretty much been living life on average mode forever. And still do pretty well on average mode. And I really would like to not be on that average mode anymore. Some things tend to start falling apart on that mode. And some things are just kind of skating by, and a lot of it still looks pretty good to outsiders. But I do have a lot of work and growing to do at all dimensions. I'm a father of 4, 49 years old. I need to do it all better. I want to do it all better, and I appreciate you adding someone who's been bar mitzvahed into the group.
Oh, that's awesome, Josh. Thank you, man. Tyler, how about you?
Hey, I pretty much joined because you called me and got me into it, and sorry, my dog's trying to get in on the fun. We talked about what I got going on. I got 4 kids under the age of 7. Wife runs her own business. Just going through a real busy time and some pretty big transitions and kind of issues coming with that business related. So it's been kind of a stressful time. So we're trying to keep it all together. So thought that I could tap in and get with some like-minded guys, and that would help. I don't have that many close friends. I probably have 2 close guys that I
chat with, every once in a while. So it is nice to have a group of like-minded men to be able to talk to. So
Beautiful. I know there's a few other guys that are going to share yet, but let me just say something real quick. It never ceases to amaze me. I've done things like this, not Zooms or whatever. I did one obviously last month, but just small groups. When I get together with groups of dudes, and I've done so many of these kind of things, it never ceases to amaze me how there's just something. I mean, I can just feel it. Like I can tangibly feel something in my soul when dudes are just being honest, humble, open. They're hungry. They're interested. It's like, it's just awakened something. So it's beautiful. Who else hasn't gone? Trey, are you back? You back on?
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Got to.
You can hear me? Cool. Yeah. So the reason why I'm here is honestly, I've invested a lot in my business, mentors, and the one thing I realized I've never invested time into really learning how to be a better man for my wife, my kids, and just connecting with you, Joshua. See the peace in you, and I'm like, I want that.
Amen. Love it. How about Braden? Did I see Braden's name on there? Or Ashton? Nope. Okay, Daniel.
What's going on, fellas? I was in the first cohort. My name is Daniel Kelly. Reason why I'm a part of this is, spend my entire life just putting my worth and I guess value into like business stuff, output, what I can produce, and I never really invested a ton of time in like my heart and my becoming whole and becoming a man of virtue and becoming like someday the husband and father that I want to be. So just coming in here with a bunch of guys who are running after the same thing. So yeah, just that's why I want to be here, just growing all those areas.
Love it. Tucker, you got to come up here. And Tucker's behind the camera, but he's going to tell us why he's here, other than that he owns the studio.
what's up, y'all? So I met Josh like maybe 4 months ago on Daniel Kelly's podcast, and he just kind of came and was speaking a ton of wisdom that I was just super grateful for. And I'm like, I've seen thousands of courses about getting money and 1,000 of courses about how to get rich and get women, but I've never seen a course on how to become a better man. And just deep down, that's something that I've always longed for. So just kind of helping everyone get this together and seeing everyone here now is pretty awesome. I think there's definitely just a big need for it in the world. So just super grateful to be here.
Love it. Is Eric on here? I can't see necessarily everybody, but is Eric on here, or Ashton, or Braden, or anybody else I haven't called on? Because I can't necessarily see everybody's name.
I'm here. What's up, guys? My name's Clay. On here because I just want to be a better man. Kicking with dad 3 days ago. This is beyond that. That's I feel like I had to be a good father. Be cute.
Beautiful. Well, if the other guys, so no one else is here. Oh wait, go ahead.
Can you do my service is really bad?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Sweet. Yeah, I'm on here because I think I have it all together, and that I'm just gonna be a great dad, great father whenever it comes. And then I have days like today where everything's going to freaking crap, and I'm pissed off, I'm triggered, and I almost didn't get on here because I was like, I just need to get crapped on it. I'm like, no, who cares that I have, if I'm making all the money. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I got a call. Who cares if I make freaking 6 sales today if I'm triggered and angry, and then I go home and I'm not present, and I go to Bible study tonight and I'm overwhelmed and burnt out. I'm just like, no, this needs to be top priority, and I just know I got a lot more room to grow, and yeah, I'm excited to grow and excited to soak up some wisdom and see what all you guys can get. I know there's a lot.
That's beautiful, Braden. Appreciate your honesty there. Anybody else that I can't see on here that hasn't shared?
I think it was Zach.
No, Zach already shared. All right.
What about Caleb Weir?
Caleb shared. He just didn't say his name. All right. Well, let's get started. So basically, we're going to run this 8 weeks. And for those of you who obviously were here last time, this isn't going to be, it's the same 8 concepts, same 8 topics, but it's not the same material. So it's kind of like, there's so many different analogies. If you want to be a great basketball player, you're going to continue to learn how to dribble, how to shoot free throws, inbounds pass, all those kinds of things. And you're never going to stop trying to learn those things. So some of you know my analogy with John Wooden, the best basketball coach in all of history. He would have all-stars that he brought from all over the country, right? They would bring them to UCLA. The first thing they would do is learn how to pull their socks on correctly and how to tie their shoes. And these are all-stars, right? Bringing all-star athletes. And his whole point was you can't study and practice the fundamentals enough, because if you stop doing the fundamentals at some point, everything else breaks down. So I really appreciate you, Braden, what you just said there, because I think that's probably more of our hearts than maybe we realize, is we kind of think we get stuff. We kind of think, dude, I understand family is important. I get that. Dude, I understand that it's important to be virtuous and have character. Yeah, I get that. Like, we think we get a lot of these things, but the reality is our lives don't show it. And B, we think that once we hear something, I brought some books to show you guys, not because any of them are the best, but so I'd read these 4 books. One's on how to be happy, 2 are on virtue, and 1 is on the 10X rule. Like, so cool, I get all of this stuff now that I've read it. Obviously, that's completely not true. The amount of work and the amount of effort that it takes to be excellent at anything is beyond, like, that's what this whole book 10X is, right? I don't necessarily love Grant Cardone. I've read everything he's put out there. But the concept here, you don't need to read the book, because basically the premise of the book is anything you want to accomplish in life is 10X harder than you think it's going to be. So as long as you're game for that, it's going to require 10 times more energy, 10 times more effort, 10 times more struggle and strain and failures. If you go in knowing that, then you're going to be great. So let me just start by saying, I wanted to kind of say, well, why am I doing this, right? So the reality is you guys all are part of it for the reasons you are, but why am I doing it? And I can tell you, I think Joel said this, but I am so passionate about growth. I'm passionate about growth and transformation so that I can live a full life. Like, it's been something I've been pursuing for 30 years. I want to grow. I want to transform. I want to develop. So if I say it in the most simple way, so I can be happy. Like, I want to be happy. And for some reason, I've understood for a long time that happiness isn't a static state. You can't just become happy because, well, it just kind of happens. That's not the way it works. So I've been pursuing this for a long time. I've been failing for sure longer than I've been succeeding. So I've done everything basically you can think of poorly. I've failed in marriage. I've failed at being a father. I've failed in business. I've failed in ministry. I failed in purity. I failed in, you name it. I failed in all of it. The only thing I didn't do was give up. So I didn't give up. And then the second thing is I didn't walk away from God. So because of those 2 things, I've been able to learn some things that I think are really, really principle-based, meaning they're reproducible and translatable to you wherever you're at. So I'm 51. Some of you are 21. Some of you are 31. Some of you are 41. The things I'm going to share with you are coming from, one, I want to say experience, a lot of bad experience, but experience nonetheless. But 2 is a life currently, and I say this will sound like I'm being bragging or arrogant, but I'm just stating what I believe to be 100% fact, is I'm living a good life. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean it's everything I want it to be, but I'm living a really good life, and I'm a good man. Like, I can honestly say on all fronts. So as it relates to my relationship with God, as it relates to my virtue, as it relates to my family, as it relates to my vocation, my work, as it relates to my body and health, and as it relates to my service, and all of those those are what I see as the 6 categories. In those areas, I'm thriving. And I say that not like, hey, look at me, because I don't care about that. I say it because the principles, the practices, the philosophies that have gotten me where I'm at aren't things that are only for the few, only for the elite, only for the extra smart or the extra special. It's accessible to literally everybody. The problem is, and none of it's new, by the way, like, I'm not going to share with you anything new. it might be new for you, but it's not new knowledge. It's not new understanding. It's not new wisdom. It's stuff that's been out there. Most of it's been out there for literally thousands of years. Most of it's been forgotten, or at least it's just a subtext in an entire book. Nobody's emphasizing the things. Let me say it differently. It's not nobody. Very few people are emphasizing the stuff that we're going to be talking about in these 8 weeks. So, to unpack a few different quick things before we get into the first week. I'm not going to tell you all 8 weeks and then explain all 8 weeks because it'll take too long. What we're going to talk about today is virtue, which is a boring word. It doesn't really connect to us because we don't talk about it. But before I get into it, I just want to give you a little more framework for why this 8 weeks. I've done a lot of things, meaning I've gone through Bible studies, I've done men's retreats, I've done encounter weekends, I've done small groups, all kinds of stuff. And I'm actually seeing what I think is more fruit from this. And this is the beginning stages. More fruit from this than I've seen anything else. Meaning, what's the return on investment? I'm giving a set amount of time. I have to prepare for these things. Guys are giving time. At the end of it, what is the fruit? And so we'll get on this. We'll download all the videos. We'll put them on here. Daniel and I will work on that together. But all 8 weeks from last session, we'll put on WAP, and so you can watch them. But go to the last one and watch the videos of the guys giving kind of their little stories that, hey, this is what's changed in me over the last 8 weeks. So my expectation is that everyone's going to have that ongoing experience. But like Braden said, we think if we get a little bit of movement, well, we're good to go. We can move on to something else. But the amount of effort and depth that we need to dive into each of these areas is beyond. It's so deep and so profound. But our world is so shallow. We spend so little time on any topic. We continually move from thing to thing to thing to thing because that's the nature. So what you have is New York Times bestsellers, right? Which are not connected to each other. They're just all these random assortments. You have podcasts ad nauseum. You have YouTube channels and sub-channels ad nauseum. You have articles. You have online blog sites. You have Substack. You have all these places that you can get knowledge and information. The problem is, and I've experienced, and I think many of you have as I talk to, when you're just consuming knowledge and information with no framework, it gets really discouraging because you're all over the place. It's good information. None of it's necessarily bad, but you're just all over the place. I see the church, for those of you who are involved in any kind of church, I see the church as being one of the worst perpetrators of this. We're just 1 week or month or season, we're talking about this, then we flip to something else, and then we flip to something. It's just like ongoing. There's no system of thinking that's comprehensive. It's like we're all about the prophetic. We're all about prayer. We're all about serving the poor. All of those are good, but there's nothing that's tying it together. One of the things that people usually don't know, because if they did, they probably wouldn't do it. Most people that start businesses have no idea that they're going to fail because the majority of them will. 75 to 85% of businesses fail within 10 years. So every business that starts, basically 8 out of 10 of them are gone, right? Which is crazy. What's interesting is if you start a franchise, so let's just say Steak and Shake or whatever franchise you think is cool. You start a franchise. Why in the world would you ever start a franchise when you have to pay $100,000 or $1 million or whatever it is as a startup fee, plus you're going to give 10, 20% of your profit year after year after year? Why would you ever do that? Well, the reality is a franchise gives you a process. And a process is something you can follow. It could be an average process. But when you have a process that you follow on repeat, and you keep just following the process, your ability to succeed is exponentially increased. So again, if you guys should all go start businesses. Well, 8 out of 10 of you, if you do, are going to fail. If all of you go start franchises, you're going to start a window cleaning. Oh yeah, some of you heard that. A Steak and Shake or whatever, but you start a franchise, 85% of you will succeed. 15% will fail. What's my point? When there's a process applied to anything, you get more traction, you get more fruit. So it could be an average process. It could be an average system, but if you're engaged in it, you'll find yourself tracking in a way that you aren't tracking on your own, just like tooling through your phone, like random podcast, random book, random article, random conversation. It's like there has to be more of a systematic overview. And this is a little bit, it's not controversial, but I'm not necessarily like, hey, the Catholic Church is awesome or the Catholic Church sucks. I'm probably somewhere in between. But something that you can say about the Catholic Church that's really, really cool is that on any continent, in any state, in any city on the planet, they are running the same structure, meaning the same verses in Scripture, the same liturgy, the same process, the same way you go through all the motions. It's all the same. The same. Each priest is sharing the same. They have their own homily, but there's something really powerful about that. Now, I'm not saying everything about the Catholic Church is good. I'm just giving you an example of an organization that's been around for 1,800 years, 2,000 years, and it's got 1 billion people. There's something about a structure and a format. Sometimes it can be overplayed and overused, but I say all that just to say I really believe there's something about just having a format like we have that will allow you to progress in terms of your soul, your heart, your fathering, your being a good husband, being a good man that you won't find by just tooling around random. So with that said, a couple things I want to hit up you what I would call golden calves or whatever they call sacred cows. That's a better way. So whether you know it or not, there's 3 things that are elevated in our culture right now. It's 3 B's. So it's bank account, biceps, bicep we'll call it, and boobs. So basically, the bigger your bank account, the happier you are. The bigger your biceps, body, the more in shape you are, the happier you are. And the more boobs you can get a hold of, the better you are, right? So it's those 3 things, in those order, probably to some degree, or maybe in an opposite order. But the problem is, we all know, either by extension because we've watched them, or maybe we know them, people who have accomplished those 3 and they actually have nothing, which ties us to what we're talking about today, which is virtue. So virtue has been something. So virtue, let me explain what virtue is. Virtue is the ability to be the kind of person when you want to be that kind of person. So it's when you wake up in the morning, you have the discipline to get out of bed. When something that has porn, at least associated with it, pops up on your phone, you don't have to look at it. When all kinds of crap food is being put in front of you, you don't have to eat it. When your kids or your wife or your friend or your dad saying something that triggers you, you don't have to react. All of that is what makes virtue, right? Virtue is the thing that, and again, this is actually a really good book, by the way, if you're a reader, The Pursuit of Happiness. So this is the essence of this book, is he's talking about how virtue, well, here's 2 other books that I just recently read on virtue. I wouldn't actually recommend either, but they're good. They're just not, if you're not reading a ton, don't read them. What virtue is, it's the ability to do the very things that you know you're supposed to do, but you just simply can't do it. So a lot of people say, and I hate this definition, although I understand why people say courage, right? Courage is a virtue. They say courage is the ability to do something even when you're afraid. I would say that's light on the virtue side, meaning that's like level 1, level 2, 101, 102 virtue. Really being truly virtuous when it comes to courage is you're not afraid, right? You're able to do something without fear, or virtue of patience, right? Rather than getting pissed off, virtue isn't you're pissed off inside, but you just don't do something. You just don't react. That's better than reacting, but that's not the core of what virtue is. Virtue is having the internal state of being that allows you not to react in a way that you used to react, right? So for me, it was interesting yesterday, Ruthie's reading one of my books, and Ruthie's my wife, and she was reading a note that I wrote. It was 2018. I dated it, and it was on the margins. And it was talking about being afraid. So at that point, my business was really struggling. We were, paycheck to paycheck, and I was afraid all the time. Not afraid of like people or anything like that. I was just afraid of failing, afraid my business wasn't going to make it. And so I wrote in there something to the effect of, at some point, I'm going to be able to be at rest, even when things aren't all okay around me. And so it was just kind of I was writing it because the book was talking about being able to be that way. And it was cool because, A, it's good to get outside objective evidence about yourself. But she just said, babe, it's so cool because you really are that now. You don't wake up afraid. You don't wake up in fear. You don't have a lot of anxiety. You aren't stressed and anxious all the time. I say that story to say that was 2018, that's 7 years ago. So maybe a little discouraging for some of you. I guess I want to give you both vision that you can be fully the kind of man that you want to be in all realms, in all areas. So whether it's fear, whether it's being present, I feel like that's a huge, huge piece. People don't call this a virtue, but it's a virtue. It's the ability to enjoy life as it's happening right in front of you, whether you're on top of a mountain or in a valley, doesn't matter. Whether your bank account's full or empty, it really doesn't matter. The ability to, in your soul, be able to be at rest is not automatic. That does not come hardwired. What comes hardwired is fear, anger, greed, lust, jealousy, insecurity. That's another virtue. What's a virtue is you don't have pretense. You can just be yourself in any setting. Really stud dude, really famous accomplished person. Like, it doesn't matter. You're able to just be yourself. That's a virtue. The capacity within your own being to be the kind of person you desire to be. Now, the problem with virtue is boobs, barbells, and bank accounts, right? That's all that's talked about. So I appreciate Daniel. I appreciated what you said, that your whole life, or at least your whole kind of adult life, 16 to 22, you haven't thought about being a good dad. You haven't thought about being a good husband, being a good man. You thought about how to make money. Tucker said it too. Tucker can look at, there's 100 different classes and courses he can take on how to make money. But what's telling people how they can be virtuous, how they can be the kind of people that they look up to, not financially speaking, although that comes with it as well. So the essence of what all these books are saying is that for literally 2,000 plus years in Greece with Plato, Aristotle, the Stoics, you have all the philosophers, they were all in agreement around this. If you and I want to be happy, pursue virtue. Really, there's two things they highlight. If you want to have the good life, be a virtuous man and be connected to family. Now, there's other things under that, but those are the two things. And we don't talk about it. Nobody talks about this, right? Nobody talks about, well, what's the quality and content of who you are? How do you deal with the places in your soul that are really messed up? Like, we don't elevate that. We got this, it's easy to pick on this guy, but Andrew Tate, right? I mean, I think Andrew Tate has some fine things to say, but if you go to Andrew Tate's university, I can't remember what it's called, is all you're going to see in all the testimonials is bank accounts and a little bit of boobs, and maybe some guys are going to be flexing, right? But it's all those three. That's all you're going to see. Nobody is talking about virtue. Let's take David Goggins. I love David Goggins. David Goggins is I've read his books. You can't stop me, or whatever that's called. I love that book. David Goggins is a stud. However, David Goggins is never talking. He's talking about one virtue, which is basically how to be a hard ass and how to have discipline, which I love, and I consume his stuff as it relates to that. But what he never talks about is anything related to any other parts of your heart, your soul. Do you walk in peace? Are you present to your wife and your kids? Are you able to enjoy the life you're living? He doesn't talk about any of that. Or Grant Cardone, I already talked about him. Grant Cardone's worth whatever he's worth, $1 billion. He's got, the plane. He's got all of it. But he's got nothing. I mean, I read all of his books. And again, I don't want to disrespect Grant Cardone. He is doing some things incredibly well. But he's elevating one thing: money, 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 money. And the reality is, if that, and all of you think you kind of get it, I think I kind of get it, but we are sold this over and over and over and over again. So my question is, if I looked at your schedule, if I looked at your calendar, if I looked at your list of things to do, how much is we all have to be vocationally faithful, but how much of your life is really rooted around making money? And I would say the vast majority of you, the majority of your life is rooted around that and leisure. That's the other thing that I didn't say. Leisure is the other thing that's elevated in our culture. Dude, being on the beach, kicking back, retirement, passive income, all of those things are elevated. They mean nothing. It's cool. It's fine. Leisure means it's never been something that has been elevated in all of history, in all of human history like it is now. And yet somehow it is the magic that is causing us to have the highest suicide rate, old retired people are the most lonely and disparaging and not illicit drugs, the on-drugged group in history. They've never been this bad. Why? Because leisure doesn't give you any satisfaction. Jonathan Edwards, some of you have heard of him. Jonathan Edwards is considered probably the most significant theologian that's ever been born in America. He was a philosopher, he was a thinker, he was a professor, he was a teacher, he was all these things. And he basically said this, that Jesus calls us to do one thing in essence, which is love, right? Jesus calls us to love. And what Jonathan Edwards did, which I really appreciate, is he said, the sum of virtues, so list all the virtues, patience and discipline and fortitude and courage and all of those things. You sum all those together and that actually equals love. The problem is we talk about love, but love is very ethereal. Love is very disconnected from kind of our everyday vernacular. I love ice cream and I'm supposed to also love people. It doesn't really connect. But when you really begin to elevate and develop virtue, you're actually doing the greatest thing that you can possibly do to glorify God. And that's, well, how do you glorify God? Well, according to God himself in the scripture, it says, be fruitful. Be someone that actually bears fruit. He is glorified when we're fruitful. Well, what's fruitful? Well, fruit is when we are, basically Jesus says the sum of everything is love one another. If you love, then you have actually accomplished everything in the law. All the scripture is wrapped up in one thing. Love people. Well, how do you love people? Is it just like have soft feelings in your heart and want to hug them a lot? Like we're so soft on our understanding of love. And that's why I like taking virtue and using that word instead of saying the word love. Love is overplayed, misunderstood. So virtue, though, when we start talking about all those things that I already listed out, that's the way to love. So my sons, my daughters, feel love when I am present to them, right? There's all kinds of psychological data on this. When I can eye to eye look at them and be present, I'm not disconnected because I'm triggered by the situation that happened an hour ago, or I'm thinking about, crap, I don't have enough money in the bank, or whatever it is. My capacity to be present with my eyes and my heart to my sons, to my daughters, is me loving them. So I'm trying to trace you back to why virtue is so significant. Virtue, when you become more and more of a virtuous man, you're actually becoming a man that loves his spouse, his parents, his coworkers, his children. But without virtue, you can't love. But we try to, you need to love more, but we don't talk about what are the practical ways that we love. All right, I got to wrap up here because I'm over time. I want to move to Q&A, but let me just say a few other things. I want each of you to really envision, I think a lot of the problem is we've overly simplified, especially in Christianity, we've oversimplified the path to becoming a good man. We said, well, just pray a lot. Or we've just said, just whatever it is. We say very simplistic things. And the reality is it's way more layered than that. Way more complicated. Complicated in a good way. I could say layered, not complicated. Way more layered, way more sophisticated, and it takes a lot more effort. So when I use the word virtue, I always connect the word effort. Virtue through effort. So you have Benjamin Franklin, one of the greatest, he was arguably the guy that allowed America to become America because he brought France into the war. Benjamin Franklin, his primary pursuit, he was a genius, he was wealthy, his primary pursuit was to grow in virtue on a daily basis. He would actually measure his virtue. How am I doing today in patience and perseverance? How am I doing today at being discipline? How am I doing today? He would rate himself. Why did he do that? Because he understood what we've totally forgotten in our culture. That if he could attain a higher level of virtue, he could have the good life. Right? That's what the Stoics understand. That's what the Greek philosophers, who are way smarter than all of us combined, those guys, that literally their IQ is immeasurable. What they were able to produce in comparison to what we produce today is off the charts. So let's just take all of their knowledge and let's boil it down to what are some of the few things that these guys said. Grow in the quality of who you are as a man. So if you don't have vision for that, if you have vision for growing your bank, then you'll constantly be falling back to that because that's the messaging. But if you see that the highest thing I could do today again, I'll use Braden as the example. I really appreciated his just saying, "Hey, I'm triggered. I'm out of sorts today." If Braden and each of us can see that is the highest end to his day, is how can I walk through this in a way that moves me towards more virtue versus just putting all that aside, focusing on the money, focusing on this. That's what I'm trying to kind of reorient our understanding. Jesus says love sums it all. How do you love? Grow in virtue. The philosophers, all the ancients say, if you want to have a good life, be a man of virtue. But we don't hear this anywhere else. And so we just find ourselves not pursuing it, not even having it as a goal. It should be something we think about all the time. Last thing I'll say, and there's so many things I didn't get to. Last thing I'll say is all the other stuff, so the money in the bank, if you pursue virtue, the money will come. May not come next year, it may not come when you want it to, but it'll come. And when it does, it won't be this letdown because you think that this thing will get you what you want, happiness, and it doesn't. So you're hugely let down. You sacrifice all of this stuff to get this thing, sacrifice relationship and friendship and all of this stuff to get something that actually doesn't equate to anything. However, if you pursue virtue, if you pursue developing who you are as a man, over time, you can't help but find yourself, your finances will get in order, your body will get in order, your relationships will get in order. All of the things that you want will come. That's why I put it first. The first week is about getting this right, your soul, who you are, your virtue, because all the other things have to fall under that. Okay, I went too long. So this is the Q&A part, which it could be on something I said. It can be on just another thought that popped in your head while I was talking. It doesn't have to be anything particular, but throw anything out.
I think for me personally, it's like I know where I feel like I'm headed is obviously like the ultimate goal. I'm like, I know where I'm going, and it's so I can provide these things. So I justify this pursuit that's worldly by the goal and the end result. And I know that's backwards. So I think that for me personally, that's definitely resonated with me. I'm focusing on virtue first, and well, for me, focusing on Christ, how to be more like Christ, and then I think as a result, then the things that I want as an end result of what I'm pursuing now are going to come. But day to day, I'm just focused on money and business and how can I increase my wealth so then I can provide these things that I know are virtuous, are good. But I think I have it backwards right now.
So I appreciate that, Shane. So a couple things. I want to be very clear. There is nothing wrong with wealth, nothing wrong with succeeding. In fact, it's actually, I think, one of the things we should be doing. We should be successful. And when I say successful, financially speaking, I mean, your bank account is overdrawn. You're not in massive debt and you're not living paycheck to paycheck. That's what I mean. I don't mean you got to have $1 million in the bank, but I do believe a virtuous man over time cannot help but be financially stable. So I definitely don't want to be that, dude, just relax, man. You don't need to worry about finances. And no, you should be pursuing wealth in the sense of you want to be stable. Wealth is a relative term, right? You want to be stable. You want to be provide for your children, your children's children. That's a godly thing. So I wanted to say that. I love that what you said, Shane, though. We are upside down, but it's actually right side up. So what I'm trying to do is flip us around. We keep pursuing the money, the shiny thing, or the woman, or the whatever, the fit body, because there's something about those that actually gives us something. They're not evil. Being jacked and being healthy is actually really enjoyable, but it won't actually satisfy you ultimately. Having a lot of money in the bank, if you do it correctly, is actually enjoyable. Like doing this, having a business or being an employee that does really well and you keep getting raises, like that really does something in us, but it doesn't satisfy fully. That's the problem. And we think, well, if I pursue that, because it gives me a little bit of it feels good, I want to pursue it even more. I'm going to double down and triple down. The problem is we have to reverse that. We need to double and triple down upon developing. So in the evenings, guys, how many of us are chilling, watching whatever we're watching because we're so worn out? And so what we do is we spend all day working for $1 and then all evening vegging out. When in fact, leisure time, literally 100 years ago, when you had time off, they understood time off as being that time you would spend developing yourself, because they understood that the developing of yourself actually allowed you to enjoy the life you have. Now, we've been sold a complete reversal of that. Work really hard during the day and, dude, chill, dog, at night. Like Netflix. And I watch Netflix. I'm not anti all that. But I'm just saying, within reason. Like, we should be reading. You guys should be reading books every single day. And the vast majority of you don't. And I'm not saying that because I know. I'm just going statistically. You should be thinking and writing and having deep conversations. Why? Because you want to grow. You want to deepen this so that when the money comes and the marriage comes and the kids come, you're not a freaking wreck because you don't know how to manage any of it because you can't manage this. Start focusing here on how to be a better person in here, then you're a better father and you don't feel like a freaking ass every time you yell at your kids, which all of you will do if you don't go after this. All of you will do things to your kids that you shouldn't do because you're angry and you can't control yourself. It sucks. I've been there, done that. I don't anymore, but I've been there. But if you don't work on this, you could have the biggest whatever and be an ass to your kids, and it's terrible. It's the worst feeling on the planet, or to your wife, or to your mom, or whoever, the stranger on the road, because you get triggered, Braden, because she didn't give you the tip that she should have given you, whatever. So thank you, Shane. What else?
I can agree with Shane. I think, one of the biggest things for me is kind of my schedule and our family schedule as a whole. With me being out at night, it can be hard sometimes coming back and then kind of integrating into the normal day. Or we're also running my wife's business, so we have that going, and then 4 kids, so it's really easy to get wrapped up in those things that we're dealing with there. And then with the kids, it can be hard to kind of deal with just them being kids and get frustrated really easily. So I would say, like what would be a easy way to help take care of that,
Yes.
around them, because I would say then the way my mind works is like I'm a really big picture guy, so I could just sit and ruminate and be like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. Oh my gosh, this is great. I can visualize everything, feel it, smell it, taste it.
So,
Mute, Caleb. Caleb, mute.
Oh, I filled it up. Oh, no. It's not filled all the way up. I'm saying I filled up. You got it. The host, you can mute it.
You got it? Yeah, I just filled up the cow.
Yeah, I just muted him. Okay. I love the question, Tyler. So here's what I would say. And this is actually one of the points I didn't even get to, so you just queued me up. We live in a culture that blames everything on everybody and everything else. And all of us do it because we live in we're so embedded in this kind of idea that, well, the way I feel inside, the way I'm reacting inside is because of, and you fill in the blank, and it's always somebody else, right? One of the most powerful things you could start doing today, Tyler, is anytime you act in a way that you know is not virtuous, either impatient, angry, short, moody. All you guys are freaking moody. I know it because we're very moody. Like, unless you've really worked on your soul, in your virtue, you're moody. You get your feelings hurt, you have thin skin, like all that stuff, right? We're moody, we're impatient, we lack self-control, all of this stuff. If you can start owning it 100%, Tyler, so when you're at home and your kids are doing something dumb they shouldn't do, and you go off, that you own that as you. Like that's your issue, your impatience, your anger with your wife, your whatever it is. Don't blame anything on anybody anymore. If you guys can, if that's the one thing you take away about how to grow in virtue, there are lots of ways to grow in virtue, but stop blaming any of your inner reactions on anything or anybody else. Because that's the place that we can get. And I'm still pursuing it. I'm 100 miles from where I used to be, and I have 100 miles to go. But man, I can celebrate where I'm at today because I own my crap. If I have a reaction, I don't care if the person called me fat, ugly, dumb, whatever. I don't care if it doesn't matter. Don't blame your wife, Tyler. Don't blame your kids. Don't blame the job. Don't blame the trade partner that show up on time. We blame all the freaking time, and it's just, it keeps us stuck. So I hate to be overly simplistic sometimes because it's like, really? Yes. That will be a huge game changer for you, Tyler. If you just start every time, well, one, we need to have a measure. Again, we need to start not putting up with our reactions. We just put up with it. We just like, dude, that's just the way I am. Well, it's just understandable. Things are stressful. Screw that. You don't understand like how I grew up. You don't understand like how intense my job is. Screw all that. Like it's a bunch of blaming. Like, cool, if you want to live in that place, then do that. But if you want to grow, every single problem, every single struggle, every single trial is an opportunity for you to grow just a touch. And sometimes that growth is just you being vulnerable and humble and saying, I am so sorry that I was mean, I was rude, I was a jerk. I am so sorry. That's it. And then you just move on and then you do it again. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. I have a little more patience with my idiot 2-year-old today or whatever. It'll happen, but you've got to own your stuff and be humble about when you are not being you want to be. So,
Yeah, I agree.
and I'll take jump in, please.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes.
As far as it, because it's like, okay, talking about virtues, and it's a great. We all kind of know some of the virtues, but they are. How do you keep those virtues at the forefront of your mind and keep them there all the time so that I can start performing better at light? And I think that's what we're talking about is how can I perform better at light, which is internal. It's an internal thing. And so I wanted to speak to the previous comment in that regard that my relationship is not great, and I due to things that I've done to the relationship, due to the fact that all I do is work, and even all the work that I do isn't actually enough, and so I'm just not doing it well. I'm not doing it properly. And the work, or else anyone who works as much as I do, should be, over providing. And I've done some things to the relationship that are not great, weren't great for the relationship. And I get blamed pretty much on a daily basis for all of it. And it sucks me into then wanting to think about how I could blame her for things as well, as opposed to just what you're saying, taking 100% responsibility for every little nuance of my life, regardless of what I think she might have done in the past that wasn't good for the relationship, or is doing in the present that might not be good for the relationship. But taking 100% responsibility for that stuff, and even speaking about the kids, and say accidentally yelling at the kids because you get bent out of shape. If the kids are doing something, or if my wife is doing something that seems is a problem for me, it's obviously not a problem for her. It's not a problem for my kids, what they're doing. So it's not their problem. It's my problem. And I have to deal with it. And that what you said reminded me of that, like, I have to deal with my problem. And if I try to yell at my kids or get mad at my wife or whatever. That's me blaming them for something that is my problem. Like I have a problem with this thing. So wrapping that all up was like, how do you do what with it? Were you talking about? Were you talking about Thomas Jefferson or?
Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. Yeah.
I said Benjamin Franklin. I was thinking, well, how do you measure your progress? And I had this thought. I just asked the question to myself, and I had this thought that I wanted to say. It seems like getting intimately familiar with what the virtues are. First of all, like what are they? What are the things that are considered virtues? And then at the end of every day, using like some mental journaling, some writing time to think about how I stacked up during the day with each one of these virtues, and kind of like writing that stuff down. How did I stack up today with fortitude and courage and presence and perseverance and all these things? Seems to be a good way to maybe measure how I'm doing.
I love it. I mean, that's what many of the Stoics, that's what John Adams and Ben Franklin and Abigail Adams did. It's an intense take. So if you're motivated to do it, do it. An easier path, maybe more of like a dialed down take on that, is just take advantage of the things that are the greatest weaknesses, right? So we all know what that is in our own souls, right? So rather than trying to become better at all the virtues, maybe yours is a lack of discipline. Maybe yours is a lack of patience. Maybe yours is a lack of you're always anxious. Just focus on that. So I can tell you, I remember, I don't know how many years ago this was. I remember I got so tired of being moody and so tired of not being joyful that I started tracking every day. Literally, it's what you're talking about, Josh. But I would track just that one thing because I wanted to have to face the reality of how lacking I was of joy and peace. I was moody and I was, whatever the other words are that day. I was just kind of grumpy. And so I just started tracking it. And just tracking it exposed myself to myself that I could then say, God, help me, right? But until you begin to expose the reality of, oh my gosh, I am moody and having a bad attitude 50% of the time, or it was actually more than that, probably 70% of the time. This isn't good. Like, I'm desperate. I'm in need of help, right? So I think tracking, but maybe tracking really reduce it down. Like, maybe it's, I'm not going to let myself be triggered by people. I'm just going to be untriggerable. I get triggered all the time. So that's going to be the thing you focus in on. Like, I'm going to just own my reaction to my wife, own my reaction to my boss, own my reaction to whoever. So yeah. A few more minutes here. So anybody else have a question?
Mom, girl, busy.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, honestly, kind of a confession in a sense, and just kind of some, I guess, growth that I kind of realized even from last session, but more so just having a kid recently. My first one at 21. Recently got married 2 years ago, trying to figure it all out. I agree with everything that everybody said. I honestly think that I was always one that wanted to blame, get the first or blame my wife for her actions. Say, you know what? It's actually my fault. Let me take ownership for this so I can allow the healing process to come in. Just over recently, over a couple of weeks, I just thought I'd figured it all out. Was doing great. It's kind of a brain cell. You think you have it all figured out. But I get so deep into these like just turmoil, and I realized when I was reading the Bible, 2 Corinthians 12, God allowed before and on Paul to stay there so that he could draw closer to God and allowed him to have that in his flesh. Because basically, he was dwelling more with Christ when he had the thorn up the side and God wouldn't remove it. So I was thinking, I'm boasting more in my weaknesses and the struggles now so that I can get more virtuous and I can get free from some of these other things. Just kind of like when Noah was like leading 8 people and led all of these and he got a drum. God had to remind him, hey, you're a type of Christ in a sense. What are you doing? You're being stupid. And it kind of just shocked me. And I'm like, I'm being stupid. I'm being arrogant. I'm being all these things. I need to take accountability of it for myself. So it's kind of like a confession, and it's just I've been trying to take more accountability of just stupid crap, or just like not my anger, not stepping in, being a man.
So one of the things you said, Garrett, I just want to double down on it again, is this thing of blaming. I think we probably don't realize to the degree that we blame. So I just want to challenge all of you as we're wrapping up here. And this is obviously, take it if you want it, that you're literally going to own every single reaction on the inside. From starting today, every reaction. Someone said, is the rudest, the meanest, sends you the worst text, whatever. You have no justification for blaming anybody, anything, your past, your present, whatever. If you will take that as a challenge, like, nope, I'm done blaming, your growth curve is going to go. And as long as you stay on that, on not blaming anybody, I'm going to own it. We got time for one more question. And let's try to keep it more in the question arena.
What do you do to get out of your own bed?
What do you do to get out of your own head? Not sure I totally understand the question, meaning overthinking something?
Yeah.
Oh, well, first of all, recognize you're overthinking it, because if you take 3 hours thinking about something, then you just, you just failed because you overthought it. You didn't even know you're overthinking it. So I think just the fact, recognizing that you're overthinking by, hey, I'm overthinking, recognizing that your thoughts aren't necessarily you. That's one of the things we do. We personalize our thinking and our feeling. This is a great thing. I'll just close with this. We think the way we feel is who we are. And we think the thoughts that we're having is who we are. They can be connected to who we are, but sometimes we just have thoughts and we're just thinking about stuff that doesn't have to be. It's just, we put it in a category, oh, that thing, that person just said something to me that really bothers me, or whatever you're overthinking. We get wrapped around the axle because we think all of those thoughts have to continue because, well, that's just who I am. I just got to keep thinking. Knowing you don't have to keep doing it is like a huge piece of the puzzle. Same thing with emotions. I feel this way, therefore I am this way. I feel sad, therefore I am sad. I feel discouraged, therefore feeling, wait. My thoughts and my feelings can be separate from who I am. You almost take on a third person perspective and you just notice them. So you begin to it's called differentiation. You start to differentiate. Wait a second. These are thoughts that aren't necessarily just me, and these are emotions, and you start to get more distance from them, which allows you to stop them. So anyways, more to say on that. But so we're a wrap. I want to honor our time. I love that we're all on this. I want to just encourage you guys. I shoot an article once a week on Substack. A lot of you guys are subscribed, but it's just going to be in this same genre. I just want to encourage you to keep leaning in. I love what Josh said. Maybe you're going to look up what some virtues are. Don't get stuck on the limited list. It depends on who you listen to. It's the nuances of each of those virtues, right? You can read the scripture. It lists out virtues. It doesn't say virtue. It just says walk in patience and kindness and gentleness, says those things. But I just want to encourage you, lean in all through the week, like thinking, talking, dialoguing, reading, writing, praying, like over the course of this time, you guys can just keep rocking. Appreciate all you guys. This is great. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Rock on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.